You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country. Hey, sports fans, The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE, The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/at Braves Country.
Screen pass to Trayshawn DeAndre on the right side. He dodges Crushman, makes his way to the end zone. Touchdown! But wait a second. I think there's a flag on the play.
All right, you guys got holding on number 97, right?
Yeah, definitely holding. No touchdown.
All right, make the call.
Yeah, I mean, it was holding.
So make the call.
Or, we say the flag was for an excessive celebration so they can keep the touchdown and apply the penalty to the kickoff, huh? What do you say?
What are you talking about? I didn't see excessive celebration.
You sure? I could have sworn I saw a little nay-nay going on.
What's going on with you, man?
All right, look, guys, I got to be real with you. Trayshawn DeAndre just scored that touchdown. Okay, I have him on my fantasy team this week. I need these points.
What? Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you, Bill. I'm playing against my father-in-law this week, and if he doesn't score this touchdown, I lose.
Well, I'm not going to let you make a bad call because you're in some fantasy football league.
Make the call.
Craig, no. If you make one bad call.
This works out perfectly, Bill. I started the quarterback who threw the touchdown pass. We're going to have to ignore the holding call.
I have the kicker, and I was kind of hoping that he wouldn't convert on third down, so he'd have to kick the field goal.
Armchair.
Hey, sports fans, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
What's going on here, guys?
All right, Coach. So basically, it was a holding call. But these dudes started me in their fantasy league, which is cool because this dude started our quarterback, but he started our kicker and I started their defense. So it's kind of a pickle.
Compromising the integrity of this game with your fantasy football leagues? Listen to me. If there was holding, you make that holding call. I don't care if it was on our team or not. I care about this game too much to let you...
Coach, you started their defense too, didn't you?
Yeah, you definitely started their defense.
Damn right I did.
Armchair.
Armchair Quarterback Radio is AFC South Country, all NFL season long.
They hand it off Fournette. He's driving, and he's in for the touchdown. Wow! Drive starts at the 1 and looking for a little breathing room, and they get that and plenty more. Derrick Henry still going. Stays in bounds. He might go 99 yards for the touchdown. Unbelievable. 2nd and 10. Empty set. Walk downfield. And that is Hilton again. 1st and goal. Ebron. What a year for him. Eric Ebron. Touchdown. Goal.
Slant. Caught. Touchdown. Marquise Lee. And he punched the ball into the stands.
Deep. And he's got it. Keelan Cole. Touchdown, Jacksonville.
Stay locked in to the AFC South on Armchair Quarterback Radio.
What do we do? This just got way too complicated.
I've got it. Here's what's going down. Corey, you talk to your team. You guys are going to decline that holding call.
Done.
Yo, wait, but then
Hold on. Trayshawn, once we break this huddle, you're going to get out there, do some crazy celebration. I'm talking some humpies. Whatever you got to do, you do it.
okay, I got you.
I'm going to call unsportsmanlike conduct on the celebration, giving the Whites better field position after the kickoff. Coach, I need you to talk to your team about letting them run that kickoff back.
Why would I do that?
Think about it. Defense, special team, it's all one. You let them run that kickback, both your defenses get 6 points.
Nice.
Okay, everyone good here?
Yeah.
Nope. Once again, my kicker is getting no love.
Oh, shut up, Bill. Your team is in first place. Plus, you're about to get extra point for the PAT.
Yeah, don't be greedy, Bill.
Stop being greedy, Bill. Bill.
Fine.
Bill. Yeah, Bill.
I said fine.
Bill.
Bill.
Yeah, Bill.
You, Bill.
All right, let's do this. Get out there.
Wait a minute. Trayshawn comes in with a very delayed celebration here. Oh, wow. I'm pretty sure that's going to be yeah, there it is. Another
Armchair.
Armchair Quarterback Radio. We cover the world of baseball from start to finish.
Baerga is 0 for 3. Left center field. Grissom on the run. The team of the 90s has its world championship. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
Brocious, fittingly with a throw, and the Yankees have done it again. Number 24. They are the world champions of baseball in 1998. Chance of a lifetime for Luis Gonzalez. 2-2, bottom of the ninth, game 7 of the World Series. Bases loaded. Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions. In the air to left, well hit. Back is Craig. What a team. What a ride. The Cardinals are world champs in 2011.
Hey, sports fans. The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE, The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country.
When I was at the University of Florida, I think my jersey was one of the top selling jerseys around the world. It was like Kobe, LeBron, and then I was right behind them, and I didn't make a dollar from it. But nor did I want to, because I knew going into college what it was all about. I knew going to Florida, my dream school, where I wanted to go, the passion for it. And if I could support my team, support my college, support my university, that's what it's all about. But now we're changing it from us, from we, from my university, from being an alumni where I care, which makes college football and college sports special, to then, okay, it's not about us, it's not about we, it's just about me. And yes, I know we live in a selfish culture where it's all about us, but we're just adding and piling it onto that, where it changes what's special about college football. We turn it into the NFL, where who has the most money, that's where you go. That's why people are more passionate about college sports than they are about NFL. That's why the stadiums are bigger in college than they are in the NFL, because it's about your team. It's about your university. It's about where my family wanted to go. It's about where my grandfather had a dream of seeing Florida win an SEC championship. And you're taking that away so that young kids can earn $1. And that's just not where I feel like college football needs to go.
Armchair.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
What do you want to do tonight?
Same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Armchair. YouTube Live.
Radio station.
The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station?
I like everything.
It's always on my radio.
We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
You're listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here live weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, and simulcasting on YouTube.com/@Braves Country, your first choice for Southern sports. Good afternoon. I don't know much, but I know one thing. College football rivalry weekend is here, and our debut on WQEE as well. The guys are on the way. We are excited. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show. I am Mac McGee, and we are live here all around the South, coming to you at WQEE Studios, 99.1 FM. Just a little bit about us before we get going here. We talk, the name of the show is Braves Country, and it's from Armchair Quarterbacks Radio. So we are in Braves Country. That's why we named the show that. But we're going to talk all sports. We're going to talk a lot of college football, a lot of NFL, SEC, ACC. We'll even talk some Big Ten and definitely college football playoffs. And as far as Major League Baseball is concerned, we are going to be going deep into the Braves for obvious reasons, and then also anything that affects the Braves and in Major League Baseball. So we're excited for that. It's kind of a down season right now for baseball. The free agency hasn't really took off, so we are looking forward to that. The guys are on their way. They're going to be joining us here very, very shortly. Real quick, we're going to get you caught up on what's going on in the world of sports, as you got some college football games that are taking place right now. Oh, by the way, if you are a soccer fan, England and the United States, they are knotted up at 0-0 or 0-0, as they say, and they are almost at the half. So that we'll keep you updated on any scores that go on there. Tonight, college football, the big one, Florida State, Florida in Tallahassee. Number 16, Florida State will be hosting the 6-5 Gators. That game's on ABC. So we'll be here. It's kind of a pregame show for you in the afternoons, 3 to 5 weekdays. This is our first show on WQEE, and then going forward Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. We're also on YouTube Live. So if you want to join that conversation as well, that is youtube.com/@Braves Country. And we'll repeat that several times throughout the shows. And we've also got a call-in number that we'll get to here in a little bit. Real quick in college football, if you're a big college football fan, pretty good one going on. Tulane, Cincinnati, about 7:59, about 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And Tulane is leading 20-17. And the winner of that goes to their conference championship game. Very, very close game, kind of a lower scoring game considering for that conference, but Cincinnati is driving. So we'll keep you updated as that goes. Other games from around the country, as of course, the big one in this area, Georgia Tech, that takes place tomorrow. That is a noon kickoff and should be one heck of a game. As far as Georgia trying to tune up and get ready for the SEC championship game. And you never know with those rivalry games. I know Georgia Tech has not had the best year, but they've had a couple of showings that have surprised some folks. Typically, Georgia handles Georgia Tech, but it seems like every once in a while, but once every 4 or 5 years on this rivalry, when you look at this, even on teams that Georgia Tech doesn't have the best teams, Georgia can get caught looking ahead for the SEC championship game. I think if you're a Bulldog fan, that's the number one thing you're worried about. But all in all, I would think Georgia will take care of business there. I mean, they're 35-point favorites last time I looked, and we'll get more in. We do talk a lot of the spreads. So if you're into any kind of sports gambling, we do talk a lot of the spreads, the over-unders, prop bets, all that kind of stuff. Other scores going on the scoreboard right now. Boise State leads Utah State 28-23. That's in the fourth quarter. Eastern Michigan taking care of Central Michigan. That game is a blowout in the fourth quarter. And Western Michigan all over Toledo, up by 2 touchdowns with 9 minutes left in that one. But you got some good games coming up later. Arkansas, Missouri comes up later on this afternoon. I mentioned Florida State, Florida, North Carolina State. And then, of course, you got a lot of games going on tomorrow. The Iron Bowl, Georgia Tech, the game, as they call it, Michigan, number 3 in the country, traveling to number 2, Ohio State. And that should be a great one. Right now, that spread, by the way, is 8 points. Clemson, they're going to be hosting South Carolina. We're going to go over all these games here in a second, but they're a 14.5-point favorite. And South Carolina shocked some folks, taking out the Tennessee Volunteers. We'll see if they can keep it rolling. Other games of interest in the South, Louisiana, Kentucky. That's a 3:00 game tomorrow. The Iron Bowl, as I mentioned, it is 3:30. That's your CBS game of the day. And a game that's not necessarily for Southern, but you are worried about it if you're looking at, if you're an LSU fan, you're trying to sneak your way into the college football playoffs. Notre Dame, USC, that is tomorrow night. That's a big one. Right now, Southern Cal is a 4.5-point favorite. And I'm telling you right now, I'd be taking the Irish. I think the Irish are playing really good football right now. And I think that they are primed for an upset. They're playing much better football than they were at the beginning of the year. Remember, they had the big showing against Ohio State at the very beginning of the season, and then they had a couple of duds, Marshall, etc. Notre Dame's been playing much better recently, taking out Clemson, and that should be a great game. That game is on ABC tomorrow night. Tennessee, Vanderbilt. Tennessee number 10 in the country. Vanderbilt 5-6, but coming off the big win against Florida. But Tennessee's only a 2-touchdown favorite because their quarterback, Heisman Trophy candidate, Hooker, is out for the season with an ACL tear. Be interesting to see if he comes back from that and, how he looks going forward. Oklahoma, Texas Tech, that's kind of a dud, but that game is tomorrow night. Pittsburgh, Miami, same situation tomorrow night on the ACC network. And then, of course, you've got some other games of interest all around the Southland, but we'll get into that here in a minute. We'll be, like I said, we'll be here weekdays 3 to 5 p.m. It's Braves Country on Armchair Quarterbacks Radio here on WQEE, the Key 99.1 FM. And we're looking forward to it. If you're wanting to know, what we're about, we talk the Southern sports, football and baseball mainly. But when you get into a season like, March Madness or, the Masters or any of the majors in golf, we kind of go with the flow on that. And we'll also talk a little fantasy football. And then we talk a lot of point spreads, and there's about 10 of us that are here on the show, and they'll rotate in and out with me each week. And, it's like we've always said, we've got the deepest bench in sports talk. So you'll get a lot of different opinions, and we're all not fans of the same team. So you'll get perspectives from the Gator fan and the Florida State fan from tonight's game. You're going to get, the perspective of, we've got a Penn State guy, we got a Notre Dame guy, we've got, fans, we've even got a Hurricane fan, which, he tends to play that down right now, but he is a fan of the Hurricanes and has been his whole life through. We are at that point where we're going to go ahead and welcome these guys in, and getting ready for the show. Everyone was excited, and here we go. Joey Areola is joining us here on the show. And Joey, how the hell are you?
Man, what an exciting time and exciting day to be talking sports, huh? It's just going to be one of those where we get to talk about so many, whether it's today with all the college football, we got a lot of good talk going. Even the USA soccer team right now is in a neck and neck with England. I'm glad to be joining WQEE with you all, and we're going to have a blast of a time as always. As you said, the deepest sports radio talk host bench in sports. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm fired up. It's a Friday afternoon after a nice Thanksgiving. Let's get it cracking. I'm ready.
And welcoming on is Mr. Tones. Tones, how the hell are you?
Best college football weekend, in my opinion, rivalry weekend. We got a great one tonight, Florida State, Florida. That's going to be wonderful. We got some good finishes going down to the wire right now with Cincinnati and Boise State, Utah State. So a lot of good ones right now. Expect nothing less this time of year in college football, and excited to be on WQEE 99.1. Really amped about that to bring you guys Braves country, and it's going to be an incredible time here on the weekdays.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know if y'all been watching any of the games today, but real quick, we're going to get people caught up on what's going on in the world of college football. Tulane and Cincinnati. Cincinnati just took a 4-point lead. There's still 6 minutes left in that. And the USA and England, World Cup soccer. It looks like I was mistaken early. They had just started the second half. I thought that was towards the end. I've been busy putting stuff together. I've had it on in the background, but it is still 0-0. 0-0, the same, about 54-minute mark of that. We'll keep y'all updated if USA can pull off the upset.
Yeah, let's hope they can, and continue to cheer them on as they go.
I'm locked in on that one. That's my big one because I'm not a huge soccer fan, but I do like the sport to a degree. And if the USA plays, I'm going to be pulling for the Americans no matter what. They can be out there with playing tiddlywinks, and I'm going to be like, let's go.
No, and honestly, after the little bit
to it,
after the
I know what I'm talking about. But the women's college soccer playoffs are going on too. So I do actually watch that because the team I pull for is actually pretty darn good. But it's fun. But did y'all watch the first game when they played
Wales? Yes, I did. And that first half, man, they really outplayed them there. And they got a goal, they got up 1-0, and then obviously in the second half, I don't know exactly what it was. Like you said, I get into soccer now, not the biggest soccer fanatic, but they struggled in the second half to close that one out in a tie. Today, a little bit of a different story. They started slow the first few minutes, but they've really played neck and neck with England since. So it's good to see the transition that they're not getting really behind against England like a lot of people thought would happen. But that first game in Wales, they should have won it. They had a chance. And in that second half, they just struggled to find another goal. And that was disappointing, but a much better showing today.
That's the thing.
Have you been checking it out at all?
Yeah, and that's the thing with soccer to me. The ties are, a little bit killer. I always like when a team could win a sporting battle. That's my hesitancy with soccer. At days then I understand it, but so many ties this tournament, a couple big upsets that, we've seen a couple of the big dogs like Argentina and Germany take a fall. But USA, that first one, they kind of needed it. They let Wales tie, and we've seen Wales lose to a bad Iran team today. So a little interesting there. It's been a back and forth tournament. My main hindrance with it all is ties. Not a fan of ties.
Yeah. So from what I saw of it, and I'm a novice soccer fan. I enjoy it when it's the big things, but I don't like, for instance, I watch Florida State women's soccer in the playoffs, but I don't watch their regular season very often. I have to be extremely bored, right? I'll catch them games, but when they start the ACC tournament and they get in the playoffs, I'll jump in. So when I say this, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but what it felt like to me watching that game was that they were on the attack in the first half, and they were the old, I just equate this to football. They were playing not to lose in the second half.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't being aggressive. They weren't getting it out of their end. And you get enough shots on goal, eventually something's going to happen. And can we get rid of the free kick? The goalie's got to have a better chance than 0% chance to be able to block a free kick. I mean, the one that Wales scored on, he was 10 to 15 yards away from the goalie. You're literally just guessing, and you're just having to jump. And at that point, any of us have just get a chance of making the block as a skilled goalie.
Yeah, that stuff's tough when, it gives them such an advantage. And that's another thing. There's just some trinkets of soccer where it gets hard for me to get behind. I enjoy watching the World Cup as always, but between what you're saying and just tying in general, I just have a hard time getting behind it in general. See, Mike joining us here. Well, two Mikes. One's a big Florida State fan. The other one a big Nebraska fan. Good luck to both of y'all today. Nebraska, I believe they're 4:00 Big Ten Network, Nebraska, correct. Iowa. I might have put some cheese on that just to make it a little interesting from my standpoint. I am happy to say that I teased that Cincinnati Tulane game on the over, so I've already cleared that one. But there's a lot more.
Good to start your day. Good to start your day on the winning side, though, huh?
Yeah.
Get the ball rolling.
I did okay Thanksgiving. We'll get into the NFL probably a little later on in the show, but I did okay, but I could have done much better if certain people would hit certain passes on 4th and 1. I mean, what in the heck is Daniel Jones doing, man? I'm pulling for the guy, man. Played down at Duke. The New York media kills him. But that 4th and 1 throw to Barkley, you got to make that play. You just got to. There's just no way around it. Did y'all have a good Thanksgiving?
Oh, absolutely. We went on our dad's side of the family in a suburb outside of Chicago. Had a great time. Got to spend it with a lot of good people, and we watched the football games, of course. In terms of who we were rooting for, it was a little bit 50-50 on that. That New England game was interesting. I don't know how Hunter Henry doesn't get awarded a touchdown on that play late in the game. I was a little bit decided by that. But yeah, overall, great Thanksgiving for us.
Yeah, it was a good one. Real quick, I thought every game was incredible too. The 3 NFL games, the Egg Bowl, everything just brought the heat. All close matchups. The Dallas Giants game a little bit not, but the other 3 out of the 4, incredible finishes in all of them.
So that's the one I want to jump off with, the Egg Bowl. If you watch that whole thing and you watch it till the end, what in the hell was Lane Kiffin doing? They're going forward on 2 they're going for the 2-point conversion, excuse me, at the end of the game to tie the game. And there's less than 2 minutes left for everyone who didn't catch it. And what ends up happening is they call 2 timeouts during that 2-point conversion to set their play up, knowing full good and well that if you don't get that play, which they didn't, you're going to have to stop Mississippi State unless you get the onside kick. So when he called the first time out, he kind of painted him in the corner, but you can still make it work. He called the second one. I'm like, that's the game, man. Because if they don't score, it was a shovel pass that didn't work. The color commentator for ESPN, his name's slipping my mind. Used to be the guy on Monday Night Football, but they got rid of him because he's
Mike Tirico.
No.
Tirico, Joe Testator?
No. The color commentator. But anyways,
gotcha.
Not important. He was praising the call. I'm like, I don't know about the call. Like, yeah, if the guy doesn't make it a good athletic play and swipe it down, it probably works. But a shovel pass in that situation, there's still a huge risk involved.
Oh, Louis Riddick. Yeah, Louis Riddick.
Yes, Riddick. And so, that's really comes down to everyone's perception. I mean, I am more of a fan of, in that situation, if you have an athletic quarterback, you do a rollout, give them a run pass option, or if nothing else, you run trips on one side of the field and you have them all banging into each other. Usually someone can get open for a 2-yard gain, right?
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, it doesn't matter if you keep the 3 timeouts because they would have stopped them. And instead, we got what we got, which was basically a dumpster fire of Well, he didn't get it, so now he's got to go for it. I mean, go for the onside kick, which never works out when you want it to.
Mm-mm.
And then when he didn't get that, he has one timeout left, and they basically poor clock management. I guess the only good news for Ole Miss fans, he said after the game he wasn't going anywhere, so it looks like he is not going to be one taking the Auburn job. I know that was rumored. I had a lot of questions about that, because I don't see why you leave Ole Miss to go to Auburn and not banging Auburn at all. But I feel like it's almost a lateral move. And it's a lateral move with much higher expectations.
Yeah, my only thing on the whole thing is this. I agree, he's saying the right things, and we've heard Coach speak before, but their play has been hindered greatly over the past 5 or 6 weeks or so. They've only won one of those games. It's been against Texas A&M. Other than that, they've lost to LSU, they've lost to Alabama, they've lost to Arkansas, and now they've lost to Mississippi State. Is there something going on with Lane Kiffin flirting with other jobs that have caused this team to tail off a little bit? He's saying otherwise, but we'll see if that does come out. And to be honest, he's been a man of many words so far, so you never know if what he's saying is actually true.
Yeah, I don't know if that is the case, but if he is out there flirting with it, I can assure you it usually has a toll. I remember back in 2000 when Mark Richt was the offensive coordinator at Florida State, and they were heading to the national championship game. And of course, this is for social media, but reports started coming out regardless that Richt was spending 1 to 2 days a week up in Athens getting ready and recruiting, etc., and then going back down to Tallahassee to get ready for a national championship game. And a Florida State offense that was flat out explosive. In fact, Chris Winkie won the Heisman that year. An offense that was flat out explosive didn't score a single offensive point against Oklahoma. And I'm not saying Florida State wins that game if Richt has his head in the game, but I'd be willing to bet they don't lose 13-2 to 2. And that offense was loaded. So I've always been gun shy if a team I pulled for, if one of their coordinators is up for something. That's why the NFL has that rule that until the team's eliminated, you can't interview their coaches, but college doesn't have that rule, and it can be a huge distraction.
Yeah, I remember that single-handedly with the Bucks. They were 9-3 in 09 or in 08. Lane Kiffin took the Raiders job. Monty Kiffin was about to follow him. Bucks ended up losing 4 in a row to end the year after Monty Kiffin announced he was leaving. So it happens.
Absolutely. Okay, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 and 2 to talk Gators and Noles. That game kicks off tonight, 7:30 Eastern. You're listening to Braves Country on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's Employee of the Month, 2 months in a row. Leave a message at the... Hi, Jamie. It's me, Jamie. I just had a new idea for our song about the Name Your Price tool. So when it's like, tell us what you want to pay, hey, 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 and the trombone goes, blah, 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 and you say, we'll help you find coverage options to fit your budget. Then we just all do finger snaps while a choir goes, statements coming at ya, statements coming at ya. Yes? No? Maybe? Anyway, see you practice tonight. I got new lyrics for the rap break.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
It's time to live, laugh, and create memories again with MSC Cruises. Join us on some of the world's most modern and innovative ships. Discover again at our new private island, Ocean Key MSC Marine Reserve, named Best New Cruise Destination. Cruise the Caribbean and Bahamas from Miami or Port Canaveral. Book now with free balcony upgrades and flexible booking changes. Call your travel advisor or visit msccruises.com. Restrictions apply. MSC Cruises, a world of discovery.
Hey, Braves fans, thank you for listening to Braves Country Baseball. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we are here to bring you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves, bringing you spring training and 2 to 3 games a week all season long. Please like and subscribe today. Braves Country Baseball.
Wendy's only makes one kind of breakfast, your new favorite one. How do we do it? With fresh cracked eggs, oven-baked bacon, and flaky croissants.
croissants. You know, the things your old breakfast wasn't doing. So toss that old news and its soggy eggs somewhere useful. And get to Wendy's, where the sausage, egg, and Swiss croissant, bacon, egg, and Swiss croissant, and honey butter chicken biscuit. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Limited time only. Single item at regular price. Price and participation may vary at U.S. Wendy's.
You're listening to Braves Country, weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m. on WQEE 99.1 FM. Please like and subscribe today. YouTube.com/@Braves Country.
What are you thinking about? Marriage? Family? Well, they're prisons. Man-made prisons. You're doing time. You get up in the morning, she's there. You go to sleep at night, she's there. Yeah, and you can forget about watching TV while you're eating because it's dinner time. And you know what you do at dinner? What? You talk about your day. How was your day today? Did you have a good day today or a bad day today? Well, what kind of day was it? Well, I don't know. How about you? How was your day?
Armchair.
Don't care.
Welcome back here to Braves Country, the Armchair Quarterbacks. I am Mac McGee sitting alongside Jones and Tones, or Joey and Tones, excuse me. Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe we should just start calling you Jones. Joey and Tones, and welcoming in on the show is Mr. Bobby. Bobby, a diehard Gator fan, and he's getting ready for Florida State as we speak. Bobby, how the hell are you?
I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to the rivalry game tonight. A little bit nervous about it because we're 10-point underdogs going into it, but I have a little bit of hope.
Well, I'm here to squash that hope.
I figured.
Right now, the line is 10 points. The over-under is 58. I'm going to throw one stat at you, and it might be cause for concern for your Gators. Florida State has ran for 200 yards or more in the last 5 of the last 6 games. The Gators have given up over 170 yards in their last 4 games. Now, neither one of them have played a huge slate, but it's not like Florida is getting ran over by the greater thans. I mean, Vanderbilt ran for over 200 yards on them. Texas A&M, who had the flu, they ran for over 200 yards. I'll tell you what, though, the South Carolina win is a lot more impressive now today than it was the day that the Gators won it, because South Carolina goes on and beats Tennessee. 10-point spread sounds about right to me. I do, and we'll give the our predictions later, but I do think Florida State's going to cover. But I can see why the line is about there. And Florida still has a 4-game winning streak in this rivalry. So there is something to be said for that. You can't really sneeze at that. But with all that being said, what is your key to victory for the Gators?
Well, figure out how to stop the run for one. You alluded to it. And Anthony Richardson's got to have one of those big games, because I've been saying it all year, and I'll continue saying it. He's very on and off. He can either be great, or he can be really bad, or he can be somewhere in the middle, but most of the time it's one or the other. And we need a really good game out of him today, and we need the defense to step up and figure out how to stop the run.
Yeah, I think when you look at the Gators matching up with Florida State, I think one of the keys is Florida State just doesn't do it with one guy per se. Trey Benson and Treshaun Ward are elite running backs, and they're almost like a thunder and lightning type of thing. But Benson is the one that you want to keep your eye on, because he's going to be getting a lot of the carries early on, and they want to get him running downhill. But then you look at the receiving core with Pittman and Wilson, and the fact that Jordan Travis is a true RPO threat. I think it's going to be hard for Florida to start him to slow him down. I think Florida's going to have to put points on the board.
Well, it's going to be hard to match you guys, because I know we have Henderson and Shorter out today, and we might be getting Pearsall back. I haven't been I don't think there's confirmation on that yet, but I know we're losing two of our top receivers today, so that won't help keeping up with you guys. So it's gonna be a tough hill to climb.
Yeah, it's gonna be a game where I think you kind of mentioned it, where the quarterback play for the Gators is gonna have to be, I'm not gonna say perfect, but I do believe that Anthony Richardson is going to have to not make the boneheaded mistakes that he makes at times. There's times where he makes throws and you're like, that's why he's being projected in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
There's other times where he makes the throw and you're like, what? And why is this guy even starting? Because
exactly.
I think what you see out of him more than anything else that I've seen from Richardson, and it's, look, this happens with all young quarterbacks, and he just doesn't have that much experience. And I know that he's technically going to be eligible to go into the NFL draft, and people are talking about drafting him high. And when you have some of the guys that are in his same mold, like the Justin Fields, who's tearing up the league, pre-injury, you can see why a team's going to take a chance on him.
Mm-hmm.
But even with that being said, when he gets going through the progression of his plays, it seems like he has already made up his mind where he's going before the ball is snapped.
Mm-hmm.
And the Stetson Bennett's of the world are actually reading the defenses, and that's the big difference. Not that he can't make the throw, it's whether or not he's going to be patient enough. Because another thing, he's a big, strong kid, so he believes in his arm, and you love that about him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's also can be a fault. I remember when Dan Marino was a kid coming into the NFL, and he could throw that damn ball through anybody, and he believed it. And you would see him zipping into triple coverage, and somehow the ball would get there, but it also led to a lot of interceptions. Yeah. So I think that's going to be the key to the entire game is Anthony Richardson, because Florida State's going to put points up, I believe, unless they just start turning the ball over.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. It's going to take a lot of mistakes on Florida State's end if we're going to stop them. We got to match them.
I'll tell you something else. I also believe that over might be a little too high. It's 58.
I'm with you on that.
Both teams love to run the football and are good at running the football. So and Florida State's defense has been playing pretty darn good. I know Florida laid an egg last week, but they also shut down South Carolina. So it's kind of the old Seinfeld. He's spotting dimes, eating onions. I don't know what to believe, right?
And that's the thing, though, with talking about Anthony Richardson. Mac, you alluded to it. Teams are interested in the NFL. One of mine being the Indianapolis Colts. And I've watched a little bit of him this year off and on. And sometimes you get really excited about what he does. And then sometimes you're like, wow, that play was just like one of the worst things I've ever seen. So I do like his natural ability, the strong arm, but him not turning the ball over is going to be key today because Jordan Travis is really not prone to the turnovers. He only has four interceptions on the year. But if somehow Florida can force a couple of turnovers, we all know the turnover battle can win you a lot of games. If they could force a couple and Anthony Richardson could keep it clean, that's to me the only chance they really have because the turnover margin is not in their favor right now, but maybe they could do it today.
And Florida State's done a tremendous job turning Jordan Travis around. This was a guy who was hemming and hawing before this year. Now he's one of the better quarterbacks in the country, at least this season. He's played like it. Last year, a
15-year career in college football can really pay off at the end.
Hey, it works out for some. I mean, Clifford's still trying to figure it out.
Just as Clifford.
Works out for Jordan Travis. But Anthony Richardson reminds me of a Josh Allen type in college. Or completion percentages identical, dang near Josh Allen and Richardson. I remember watching Josh Allen at Wyoming and thinking to myself, geez, does this guy know what he's doing on half the times? Then his rookie year, you've seen the passing struggles as well. In the NFL, he was more of a runner. Now it's to the point where he evens it out. Anthony Richardson has to learn how to throw his arm, respect his own arm. You don't always have to be Superman. You could run it, tuck it, and make better plays, learn how to throw a little more accurate, and I think he has a really good career in front of him. I like Florida covering today, but I like Florida State winning. I think Florida loses by less than the 10 that they're getting, though.
Let's go ahead and hit the quick predictions on that, Bobby. Tone, since you went ahead and said it, what's your score?
I got a final score. I'm going to go with 31-28. I got a really barn burner here. I got Florida hanging in this thing right till the end of it.
The over.
Yes, sir. I'm taking the over, and I'm taking Florida with the points. I think it's going to be one of those classic games where it's back and forth. Florida has the ball at the end of the game. Will Anthony Richardson make the play? We'll see. Florida State winning by 3, though, 31-28, and the over coming in.
I hope you're wrong because I don't know if I can take that. Bobby, what say you?
My mind's telling me not to go with this prediction, but it's rivalry weekend. I'm going with my heart here. I'm going to say 27-24. Game-winning drive for Florida. Give me the Gators. Anthony Richardson, he's going to get it done. I got to be confident. It's our last game of the season before the bowl games, and it's rivalry weekend. I want nothing more this season, except for the Tennessee game. I would have liked that, but this is my second favorite game of the year.
That's the other thing is Florida, most likely whatever bowl game they go to, I don't think Anthony Richardson will play.
Probably not.
The team won't even look the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
Joey, what's your score?
Well, I'm going to help you sleep a little easier tonight, Mac. I'm going to go Florida State 31, Florida 20. What is a close game for a half? I think it stays within reason. And then Florida State pulls away late. But at the end of the day, I don't think it hits the over. That being said, I still think Florida State covers. They only let up 18 points per game, which I think was a little bit unknown here. While both teams do get over 30 points, I think the Florida State defense does make a couple of key plays late. And you might see some flashes early from Richardson, but I think the key pick in the fourth quarter will bite him in a 31-20 Florida State win.
All right, I'm looking at Florida State covering the spread, and it may even be bigger than this, but I'm going to go a little modest. I don't want to go crazy over here. I got FSU 33-17. I think Florida's going to have a hard time moving the ball. I think Florida State should be able to move the ball. And I get to that 33 number because I figure we'll probably miss 2 extra points at some point. Because that just seems like it's par for the course for us. But my first instinct was going to say 45-3, like the thrashing that the Noles put on Miami, but
I don't think we're Miami bad.
Miami's really bad,
Yeah.
and Florida's not as bad as Miami by any stretch of the imagination. And they do have a puncher's chance. And the thing is, these rivalry games, you never know. Last year's game, Florida State almost pulled that off. They got hit at the beginning of the game and couldn't get caught back up, but that game's closer than it should have been because Florida State was not a good team last year. And so I've got to think that if they can weather any kind of a storm, don't let Florida get the early lead. Don't let any of that junk happen. Just play your game and play under control. It's easy for me to say because I'm not out there strapping it up. I mean, I'm going to be sitting in front of the TV drinking a cold beer and I'll be nervous as all get out. If I was actually still out there playing, I'd probably freaking, I'd have at least 3 false starts on me by the first quarter. But this is my favorite game of the year. This is any Florida State or Florida fan that grows up in Florida. If this isn't your number one rivalry game, then normally if you're a Gator fan, if you live near the Jacksonville area, maybe it's Georgia, but Florida State's a close too. And for Florida State fans, there are a lot of Florida State fans that are Miami haters before they hate the Gators, which is not really the way to go. Miami's never a threat. This is the game. This is the game that I look forward to the most. And ironically, my wife and I met on the day of this game years ago. She was in there pulling for the Dirty Gators, and it was right after the ball game, and I went into the bar and they had the Iron Bowl on, and this was 2013. This was the year that FSU played Auburn in the national title. The game was an early game because Florida was so bad. They put it on noon at ABC because they didn't want to go head to head against the Iron Bowl. And that was the kick 6 game that I met her in. So we always, fondly remember this day as well for different reasons, but I'm slowly turning her to a Florida State fan. I told her, so you don't have to be a Florida State fan. Just don't be a Gator fan. That's all, There's so many other teams to pick.
Only about 100 of them.
Can offer you some bulldog or yellow jacket. I don't care. Pull for the Blue Devils.
Yellow jacket. That's not nice. That's just cruel.
Yeah, you don't lead her in the wrong direction now. Maybe not Florida, but don't
I mean, it's gonna be
not that much of a downgrade.
But if you're a fan of, they usually have a pretty good baseball program. By the way, update that Tulane game is final. The Green Wave hold on to beat Cincinnati 27-24. NC State and North Carolina just kicked off. And there's a bunch of other games that are rolling around right now. Texas leads Baylor by that game's final. Texas 38-27. That's a final. And games of interest, that's about it as far as finals, but there are some games kicking off at 4:30 UCLA, California. And so I'm saying take Florida State minus the points, but take the under. That's where I'm at on it.
Yep, we're together on that one.
And Bobby's saying take the Gators on the money line.
Go all in.
But you're saying take the under, and then Tones is saying take the Noles, but take the over. So it'll be interesting. If it hits the over, either someone's blowing somebody's doors off, or these run defenses didn't show up, which I'd be a little shocked if Florida State. I think Richardson's gonna have to beat them. Because I think Florida State's going to lock them in there and say, you got to beat us one-on-one, and our secondary is a little better than it was in years past. They're still a long way away before you can put them in the Georgia or Ohio State or even Michigan's of the world, but they're getting better. And if they do win the next two, they have a very good chance of finishing in the top 10, which nobody saw that coming in early October. All right, let's take a really quick break. When we come back, we are going to do our stupid underdog picks. If you're just joining us for the first time, you're probably going to enjoy this. Stupid underdog picks, and we'll also get our locks in. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country with the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Whenever I bring home Entenmann's Little Bites muffins. Little Bites? That's right, sweetie. Can you just give Mommy a minute? I love bites. I know you do, but we're doing a commercial right now, okay? Got it. As I was saying, whenever I bring home you know what, you know who gets pretty excited. And so do I. Little Bites muffins are made with real ingredients, no high fructose corn syrup, and are baked moist and delicious. I love Little Bites. There you go. Yes.
Entenmann's Little Bites muffins. The perfect portion of happiness.
Hey, Braves fans. Thank you for listening to Braves Country Baseball. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we are here to bring you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves, bringing you spring training and 2 to 3 games a week all season long. Please like and subscribe today. Braves Country Baseball.
How to improve your dining room by the Home Depot. New wood floors, new paint on the walls. Sure, you know us for that. But how about a new dining room table? Matching chairs? Bar stools? How about free and flexible delivery with easy online returns? Now you can explore decor in a whole new way. Save now on furniture. Everything for your home. Everything from HomeDepot.com. How doers get more done. U.S. only, valid through September 7th. Limitations apply.
Your true friends are the people in your life that totally get your inside jokes, your unique style, most important, what you want to eat. Taco Bell knows that when you get together with your real friends, it doesn't matter what you're doing, but hey, it might as well be something that everybody can get into, like the Taco and Burrito Cravings Pack with 4 crunchy tacos and 4 beefy 5-layer burritos. So even if you're all sitting around doing absolutely nothing, you know you'll still have a good time. It's Taco Bell's Taco and Burrito Cravings Pack. Get it for the friends that get it.
You're listening to Braves Country. Weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m., 99.1 FM, The Key. Welcome back here to WQEE, The Key. We're also simulcasting on youtube.com/@BravesCountry. Man, that is a really long intro song. How many beers did I have that day when I put that one in? Good Lord. Jam on, man.
After a bottle of Jack.
Rock and roll never dies. Let's go. That's most likely going to be me later on tonight. Win, lose, or draw the game tonight. We just put a TV outside, hung up a new one. The last one got spider webbed shortly after hanging. We don't know what happened there. We think it was the hurricane, but we don't know. So I'm excited to watch the game tonight outside. Hopefully I don't fall backward in the swimming pool. But if it's a dramatic win, I've been known to just jump into the swimming pool.
Well, hopefully your wife could play lifeguard just in case. So,
yeah, well, she won't be too happy with me no matter what in the world. I can tell you.
She's in a lose-lose.
She's very familiar with these scenarios. I can tell you that right now. She actually came through the door yesterday. It's a long story, but someone had been talking about sending me a 12-pack of, or no, 24-pack of beer quite several weeks ago. And the short of it is she came through the door with it yesterday. And I was like, all right, just in time. But I think she was doing it to keep me off the whiskey, right? Joke's on her. I'll be on both. And you know, and it also evens out too, because been so busy today getting ready for the new shed, realized I didn't have a lot of clips put together, so I spent all morning doing that. I really haven't eaten today, so it's about to get slap ugly around 7:30. As soon as we get off the air here at 5, I'll probably be cracking a cold one and getting ready for the game. All right, stupid underdog picks. If this is your first time hearing us, it is our first show on the Key 99.1 FM, Noonan, Georgia. But we have been doing sports talk for quite some time. Different radio stations around the country, but also you can always catch us on youtube.com/@BravesCountry. The gist of what this is when we do our stupid underdogs is we pick an underdog, and if someone picks that underdog, no one else picks them. You're picking that underdog to win outright. And if they get the W, you get what they are underdog by. So, for instance, we've been referencing the Florida State-Florida line all day long. Florida's underdog by, I believe, 10 still. It keeps going up between 10.5 and 9.5, but right now I see 10. If Florida were to win, you would get 10 points. If they cover the spread, you get 2. And if they do not cover the spread, you lose 2. So that's where we're at. And Bobby is destroying everybody this year. We do this every week. We keep a tally. And Bobby right now is leading the pack. I don't have it all tallied up from last week, but suffice it to say, Bobby is doing very well. We'll get the standings up and going later on. But that being said, Bobby will pick last today. I believe it's Joey that would have the pick for today first. So Joey, where are you going on your stupid underdog?
Yeah, I need a lot of ground to make up, but I'm going to take us to the great state of Indiana, where on Saturday at 3:30 on Big Ten Network, Purdue will be taking on Indiana. Indiana's been pretty disappointing most of the year, playing a little bit better lately. Back and forth. They're giving 10.5 to Indiana, and Indiana on their home field. It's towards the end of the year. It's a state rivalry game. I think actually does get the upset being the stupid underdog pick, but it's going to be a little bit of tough sledding, but I do got faith in Indiana, as I think Purdue's, they might be fighting a little bit for a Big Ten in their division. They're doing pretty good, but I got Indiana coming home with in-state rivalry win, getting 10.5 against Purdue.
Okay. Your volume's a little low. Speak up. But anyways, I got the gist of it. Indiana getting 10.5 against Purdue, and It's a 3:30 kickoff, huh?
Yes, sir.
I know that's a big rivalry in that area, but no one really cares about it around the country. But I think you got a puncher's chance in that one. You just never know what Indiana team's going to show up. That's the problem.
Yep.
Tones, you are next on deck.
I'm going with a hot team, and who would have thought this one would ever be an option a couple weeks ago? Vanderbilt's getting 14 against Tennessee. Tennessee has lost their heart and soul in Hendon Hooker for the season. That is terrible to see, as he was a Heisman candidate and making his way into first round candidacy. We'll see if he could continue where he left off when he gets healthy. Speedy wishes and recoveries to him. But Vanderbilt has beaten Kentucky and Florida in back-to-back weeks now as they look to turn the corner, and they're fighting for a bowl game. They need to win this game to get to a bowl game. Tennessee's season is kind of lost at this point in time. They'll still play in a pretty decent bowl game, albeit it'll be their backup quarterback and a brand new team out there. I like Vanderbilt getting 14 tomorrow night, 7:30 on SEC Network. I think 14's a lot here, and I think Vanderbilt has a realistic opportunity to win this one straight up in this in-state rivalry. I think Vanderbilt's going to be fired up, ready for that bowl game, coming off of 2 big wins against Kentucky and Florida, which are no snobs, by the way, right? It's not like they're beating Florida International and Miami back-to-back weeks. They beat Kentucky and Florida with 2 first-round projected quarterbacks themselves. So could they do it to Tennessee? Albeit Hendon Hooker's down. That would be 3 in a row against teams with first-round projected quarterbacks. Give me the Commodores plus 14 against a heated in-state rivalry, Tennessee.
And you also have to look at it too. I think the team could be flat, meaning the Vols. It's an in-state rivalry, but it doesn't have the same cachet as the Iron Bowl or the Sunshine Showdown or the game. The game has always been, I used to live in the Nashville area. The game is always bigger to Vanderbilt fans than it is to Tennessee fans. And now that the season has been kind of ruined, they still have a lot to play for the Vols, but there's going to be that perception. You might get a very flat team on the road. Bobby, I'm going to let you go next because you actually have a chance of winning this thing, and I do not. So I'm going to let you take your first swing.
Real quick, what's my lead on Doug right now? Do you know?
Well, if you were paying attention to the show earlier, when I was 45 seconds ago, I said I don't have it tallied up, but we'll get it to you later.
Whatever. All right. I'm gonna go.
You're in the first.
You mentioned the Iron Bowl.
I didn't mean to bother you. Stay awake. Do what?
You mentioned the Iron Bowl. I'm sticking with that, or I'm going with that. Sorry. I'm taking Auburn plus 22. I'm swinging for the fences, even though I'm up. I'm trying to run up the score here. Alabama's not as good as their rank indicates. They're not a top 7 team in my eyes. They barely squeaked by Texas A&M, barely squeaked by Texas. They've lost to Tennessee. They lost to LSU as well. And granted, those were both on one plays. But I just don't think they're as good of a team as the number 7 ranking indicates. And I think Auburn has a chance in a heated rivalry game, one of the biggest rivalries in the country. I think Auburn has a slight shot to pull this out. So I'm going with them for my underdog.
I find it interesting that it looks like Lane Kiffin's out of the running. If you believe what he said post game, that he's not going anywhere. And I said this earlier, I don't believe he should. It's a lateral move with much more pressure. Mm-hmm. If you have an 8-4 season at Ole Miss and go to a decent bowl game, the fan base is fine with it. If you do that at Auburn, they're already telling you that you're on the hot seat because you have to live up to a ridiculous standard in state with Alabama. And so if I'm Lane, there's no way I'm leaving to go to Auburn.
I'm with you.
Auburn has to be someone who either A, that's their dream job because they're an Auburn grad, or B, it's a stepping stone and you're trying to catch the next hot coach. But when Gus Malzahn gets fired, you got to wonder.
Yeah, and not that,
they ran Pat Dye out of town, and he was a legend. They named the field after him.
Mm-hmm. I do like Caddy. Not that he's going to be long term, but I like what he's doing there short term, at least fighting this year in a lost season for Auburn, former Auburn running back. He hasn't played tough down the stretch. So hats off to Cadillac Williams, and hopefully, whether it's Auburn or somewhere else, he could get another head coaching job at a different university if it's not Auburn. But shout out to Cadillac Williams, former Auburn running back, for having them fight down the stretch instead of roll over.
Probably not going to hit this one, but I'm going to go ahead and try to hit a decent sized one here. I'm going to take the South Carolina Gamecocks with the chance to upset Clemson. It's an early kickoff. Normally this game's played in the evening. It's an early kickoff, so that'll probably prevent the riots. And 14.5 points. Once again, you don't know which South Carolina team is going to show up, but if they play remotely as well as they did against Tennessee, they've got a real chance to beat Clemson. Clemson does not have a lot of firepower on offense, and they're going to try to smother you on defense. And I expect a lower scoring game. So when you get a lower scoring game in a rivalry game, all you need is a turnover to help you, right? So that's why I'm going with that. Bobby, let's go ahead and get your locks, or your lock of the week.
My lock of the week. I'm going to the NFL with this one. I'm taking the Seahawks -3.5 against the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders are any good. I know they beat the Broncos last week, but the Broncos also aren't any good. They suck. Both teams suck. And the Seahawks, they're still a good team. They're pretty locked in on the NFC race for the playoffs. I think they get in, but they need some big wins down the stretch. Try and get a higher seed. I think the Seahawks get it done -3.5 versus the Raiders.
Okay. You are, by the way, on fire. You are 7-3 on the year.
Nice.
As far as that goes, all in all, we've got a winning percentage well above 60% again. I'm 7-3, but I took a loss last week. So, and Troche is doing really well. Steven will be with us next hour. He's 6-3-1. Considering how bad of a year he had last year, that's a lot to say. Joey, what is your lock of the day?
Hopefully my volume is better now, but my lock of the day is going to be a little bit of a homer pick. I'm going to go with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish against the USC Trojans. This is a huge game for USC. Right now, they're ranked number 6, excuse me. I think they should be 5. It's a travesty. LSU has 2 losses and is, but that's a different story. I think Notre Dame comes in tough, gets the upset taken care of. I love the 4.5. But I even like the money line, as I think Notre Dame is going to come in as their biggest game of the year. They have 0 chance at playoff. But after the scrum 1-2 start where they lost to Marshall, a lot of people are questioning the coach. They're back doing good now at 8-3. This is their playoff. I'm taking Notre Dame, the spread at 4.5, but I also like the money line.
Yeah, I'm really interested in that one. I haven't filled all my picks out for the weekend, but that is definitely one that I'm eyeing. Tones, what's your lock of the week?
Coming off a bye week, I like the Bucs laying the 3.5 points in Cleveland. I know Cleveland could still get after quarterbacks and get pressure up the middle with Myles Garrett and company, but this is a team that has been disappointed to this point. I think their thought was they could be playing 500 football by the time Deshaun Watson comes back and have a serious chance at the playoffs. Here's a team that's 3-7, and they're 1 loss away from the nail in their coffin. Back-to-back blowouts against Miami and Buffalo were in their past 2 weeks, and now you got Tampa coming to town trying to remain hot, winning 2 in a row, coming off a bye week. Now the thing is, you do have Leonard Fournette likely down and out, but Rachaad White looked better than Leonard Fournette has all season in their victory over Seattle. So don't let that name fool you. If Lenny F is out, it will be a little bump in the road, but Rachaad White's been playing incredible.
Maybe for you, man, but I need him to step up for my fantasy team.
Yeah,
same here.
Same here. Hey, I have
good.
I have him here, but the Bucs, Rachaad White's running better. So I hope Rachaad White continues that. And I do like the Bucs laying the 3.5 on the road against.
Hey, Bobby, real quick, what is your walk-off for the day? Because we got to hit the break.
My walk-off, Florida FSU tonight, 7:30. Big game. This season hasn't been great for Florida. A lot of ups and downs. But if we can pull this off, it'd be a good way to cap off the regular season.
All right, brother. We will see you next week. We will be back on the other side of the break and getting ready for Florida State, Florida, and the NFL. We'll be back in just a flash. Hey, sports fans. The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia. Braves Country, weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, 99.1 FM, The Key, your first choice for Southern sports talk.
Max, a woman in my section wants to know if we do anything gluten-free. What do I tell her? Tell her she's not allergic to gluten. She's just masking an eating disorder.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey, Braves fans. Thank you for listening to Braves Country Baseball. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we are here to bring you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves, bringing you spring training and 2 to 3 games a week all season long. Please like and subscribe today. Braves Country Baseball.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's Employee of the Month, 2 months in a row. Leave a message at the... Hi, Jamie. It's me, Jamie. I just had a new idea for our song about the Name Your Price tool. So when it's like, tell us what you want to pay, hey, 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 and the trombone goes, blah, 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 and you say, we'll help you find coverage options to fit your budget. Then we just all do finger snaps while the choir goes, statements coming at ya, statements coming at ya. Yes? No? Maybe? Anyway, see you practice tonight. I got new lyrics for the rap break.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're listening to Braves Country. Weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m. on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key. Please like and subscribe today. YouTube.com/@Braves Country.
They've given me less than 1 year to turn this place around. Forget about the way it used to be. This is not a damn democracy. We are in a state of emergency, and my word is law.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. He's the all-American man.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 here on Braves Country with the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be here going forward 3 to 5 p.m. weekdays here on WQEE The Key. And you can also catch a simulcast, or if you miss the broadcast, you can always pull it up on youtube.com/@Braves Country. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. And welcoming onto the show is Mr. Stephen Troche. Stephen, how the hell are you, sir?
Man, I was doing good until the last minute and a half of that USA-England game. Like USA was kind of dominating. They couldn't get anything through, but they had a free kick without a minute left, and they just absolutely squandered it.
Well,
game ended up a draw, but
I was about to say, you can't tease that without telling everyone the score. Yeah, I saw that they finished up a draw. I mean, that's the problem with soccer, getting American sports fans into it, is that so many of these games that it's supposed to be a big deal. It's the World Cup, right? You would never have a tie take place in the NBA playoffs, the NFL playoffs, college football playoffs, et cetera, et cetera. You would never advance to the NFC Championship game on aggregate points. So that's the part that if they ever want to get the United States fans really into it, they're going to have to modernize the rules.
And even the sport most comparable to it, the NHL, their playoff format, they do different things, overtime followed by a shootout to determine the winner of a game. No ties in any sport there.
Now, they don't do that in the playoffs, right? Aren't the NHL, they go to overtime.
They just keep playing overtime.
Yep,
right?
Overtime, then regular season is overtime, then
sure
shootout.
I didn't miss something because I was about to say, I've been watching hockey for a long time, and I remember sitting through some grueling, like 3 overtime games. You're like,
correct.
I can go to bed. This is ridiculous.
The one time we're missing our hockey extraordinaire.
Yeah, well, the important thing is we're in the South, so we don't really have to know that much about hockey, right? So
yeah, now the USA's got to beat Iran, so that's a big one coming up in the next few. But 2 draws, it's kind of, you feel
Did Iran beat Wales, didn't they?
Correct, they did.
Okay. That's what I thought. So yeah, all they've got to do is beat Iran and they're good to go.
Yep.
If England beats Wales, I guess it would go down to
England beats Wales, and
did Wales score against Iran? I didn't watch the game.
No, I think it was 1-0. I want to say
they would be tied in goals as well, depending on what the score is in the England Wales. If let's say Wales doesn't score, right, and they lose to England, and let's just say, for argument's sake, USA and Iran go to a 0-0 tie. I don't know who advances. I'm thinking it would be Iran.
This is why we can't do ties.
What's that?
Yeah.
This is why we can't do ties. Too much to figure out.
Would be them because Iran actually has a win.
And that win was it was 2-0 Iran.
Right. And so that's actually a must-win game.
Must win. And I mean, although Iran's look good, it's probably their easiest game in terms of odds or chances, but who the heck knows?
I mean, like the United States looked like the better team against England today. They should have scored. They should have won.
Team against Wales. Okay. It's just, I was saying it earlier. I feel like that they're always out there playing not to lose.
I completely agree.
In the first game, they were very, it's almost the equivalent. I know it's not the same, but it's, if you're going to try to draw an analogy in American sports, they're playing prevent defense. And like, you don't get that in baseball, right? That doesn't exist. You do get it sometimes in hockey. You get it sometimes in basketball, where you'll see teams start to be less aggressive towards the hoop and they blow a lead. But soccer is one of those sports that if you're not being aggressive, you're basically trying to play 4 corners offense to try to kill the clock. And that's what they tried to do against Wales, and they gave up the goal late. But anyways, that is way too much talk about soccer. Let's move on.
And anyways,
whoa. Someone's
back to the real football.
What did I do? Run into a soccer show?
We're diverse.
Yeah. NFL. Let's talk a little bit of NFL here. This is obviously, the college weekend. This weekend to me is much bigger in college football than the NFL, even though the NFL does get Thanksgiving and they're on center stage on Thanksgiving. After Thanksgiving, let's go. It is all about the college football. And you've got some early games that have already taken place. You've got with NC State actually has an early 7-0 lead on North Carolina. They're lining up for a field goal. The Tar Heels are to try to pull in. But let's jump into a little bit of NFL talk. And yesterday's game with, first of all, Buffalo, they squeak one out. The Lions went out and lioned again. And they lost a game that I think they really should have had a very good chance of winning. But I think the biggest news in that entire ball game is the fact that Von Miller injury and how long he may be out. They're saying knee sprain, but that could be anywhere between he's back by the next time they play or he is out for an extended amount of games. And remember, they don't have a typical Thursday to the following Sunday break because the Bills and Patriots is next Thursday's game. So I would be shocked if he plays next Thursday.
Yeah, and that's just a massive loss because if you look at Buffalo from last year, what was the reason why they didn't make the Super Bowl? They couldn't get after the quarterback when it mattered most. So hopefully it's not a long-term thing because Von Miller, everyone knows his name, but I think he even comes up that much bigger on the field as they need all the pass rushing help they can get down the stretch. We know their offense is going to be there, but can they get to the quarterback? And I'll be interested to see that next Thursday night, which I assume he'll be out for that for sure.
Yeah, and they're banged up out there. They're down their backup linebacker, AJ Epineza, out there as well, and Greg Russo, their other left defensive end, he's out as well. So they're down to Shaq Lawson, Boogie Basham, and Mike Love at their defensive end positions, 3 out, 3 in. Then sledding for the Bills in a short week's rest.
Between that and then some of the other things, that's going on in the NFL, Steven, who just joined us, is a big Miami fan, and he is getting affected not only by the Von Miller news, but then also Zach Wilson is taking a seat this weekend to Mike White. But it looks like that they're going to get a Bears team that won't have Justin Fields on the playing surface.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be a real interesting game. I mean, like Mike White is definitely going to make their offense better. I think he's better at keeping that offense on schedule, but man, like that almost scares me. With the Jets getting better because they have a good team.
They've got an elite defense. I mean, I think that defense may be top 5.
And really quick, as of 1:50 p.m., Justin Fields was limited again today and is officially listed as questionable. So they're probably going to wait till the very end tomorrow. Sunday, but it's going to be very interesting because if he doesn't play, Marcus Simeon, oh gosh, that Bears offense is going to look
Justin Fields is not
worse.
going to play that game. I'm telling you right now, you can go ahead and book it. So if you're looking at the lines and you like it one way or the other, he's not going to play that game. I would be shocked because the nature of the injury and the fact that he is a running quarterback, right?
I agree.
And if all the defenses that you want to go up against with a separated shoulder, it's a non-throwing shoulder, but a separated shoulder, that ain't the defense.
Mm-hmm.
I could see a Tom Brady playing in that situation against a lesser defense because they're not going to ask him to run. He's going to hand the ball off and he's going to do a quick passing game. But Justin Fields, to be Justin Fields, and the Bears aren't going to the playoffs. So that's the other thing. It takes some of us who may have him on our fantasy team.
Or it's going to hurt.
Or some of us who may want to hit his player's prop, right? But other than that, it makes zero sense to go, hey, franchise, go out there and get your bell rung, get your other shoulder separated, and then we'll see you next August.
Yeah, and it would actually benefit the Bears in the long term if they did hold them out and they lose this game as they get a higher draft pick. I'm never one for losing football games, but let's be honest, if Trevor Simeon's your starting quarterback in New York, odds are you're probably not going to get that W. So you might as well get Fields healthy, get a better draft pick next year, and call it a day.
Mr. Steven Troche, we want to go ahead and get your stupid underdog pick before we get past that time. Do you have one already dialed up?
I do not. I've been going back and forth between a couple. I mean, I feel like just being spiteful at this point because I'm completely out of the race. I can't even be close to winning this.
Okay, so real quick for folks who are just joining us, and for you, if you didn't hear it, Indiana, Vanderbilt, Auburn, and South Carolina were taken.
Okay.
So if that helps. And I'll end up getting Doug's off air. He wasn't able to join us today. So why don't we circle back to that? Let me know when you've got one. Let's go ahead and hit some point spreads that we might like. I want to hit today's point spreads first, and then we'll kind of dive into some NFL, some games that may be kicking off. We've already kind of given our 2 cents about the Florida State-Florida game. Guess 3 or 4 of us. No, it went half and half. Tones and Bobby took the Gators and the points, and Joey and I are taking the Seminoles minus the 10. We all believe it's going to be a fairly close to that over under, which is 15. I think Tones is the only one that had the over. But all in all, when you get 2 running teams, you got to figure those defenses just focused on that all week, right? Looking at some other games that are going down today, you don't have any other ranked games for today. I don't believe. I believe those are all tomorrow.
We got like UCLA is playing at 4:30.
Okay, well that game is not kicked off. I was thinking it had already kicked off. UCLA minus 11.5, a 62.5 over under. I would take the over. I think UCLA proved one thing last week: there is no defense out there in the Pac-12. I could not believe my eyes. I was skimming around the channels yesterday, and I forget the gentleman's name. It'll come to me in a second, but they were doing college football talk, and he was bragging on the USC defense and what makes them so potent in the showdown versus Notre Dame. And I'm like, when the heck did USC play defense last week? I mean, I think those were 2 offenses that just ran out of gas eventually.
Mm-hmm.
That game last week, like, that is not where I would go. If I'm going to break down that game, I'm not going to point to the USC defense. It was 48-45.
I think that was the game with the over under. I think 79.5.
Yeah, it was.
And that wasn't even close.
93 was the total.
Sheesh.
The week before they gave up 34. No, I'm sorry. I'm at the wrong game. The week before, UCLA. Yeah, okay. UCLA gave up 34 to Arizona, gave up 36 to Arizona State, 45 to Oregon, 32 to Utah, and Utah's offense is not fast. That's just a plow ahead, 6 yards in a cloud of dust kind of team. So I don't know where he was getting, hey, let's focus on the USC defense. That's literally like saying, let's break down the Jets this week. Now let's talk about that explosive offense they got.
I actually almost took Cal as my super underdog pick, so that's where my mindset when it comes to that game. I would be on their points.
I kind of figured that they're going to rebound.
They could.
I like UCLA giving the points if I'm taking that one. I think Chip Kelly's got a big victory in hand. Cal's just been meh all season. UCLA beats up on the little teams and struggles against the bigger teams. I like UCLA giving the points.
I would like to know why Cal Stanford is not the rivalry weekend game.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, that's just weird.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense now that you mention it.
It's really weird. Stanford's playing BYU, so they're not even. Yeah, that's really strange.
Yeah, I thought they always played this week, Stanford and
They usually do. I don't know if it has anything to do with Notre Dame playing Southern Cal, so USC doesn't play Southern Cal this week. I don't know if it's got anything to do with that. I don't believe it does, but I'm pretty sure the famous band, the Stanford band on the field, I'm pretty sure that was rivalry weekend.
Yeah, I think so. Now that you mention it, I believe it was.
I mean, McGee, you were the only one alive during that, so you should be able to tell us.
Hey, buddy, let me tell you something. You missed some good football.
Yeah, Stanford plays BYU.
That was back when they could actually, hit each other.
Yeah, actually play defense in basketball.
Exactly. There was none of this. He breathed on me. Come on now. Come on now.
And one.
15-yard penalty, and you're suspended next week. I'm looking at the Cal schedule, by the way, and they played Stanford last week. I don't know why they wouldn't do that this week. It seems like, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to get the fans to come out to it more because they don't want to do it on Thanksgiving weekend, but it just seems organically that's where it should be at. But anyways, moving on from that, other games that are going to be going on. There's not a whole lot other than the Florida game tonight. Looking at, by the way, Steven, did you ever get your stupid underdog pick?
Yeah, I'm just going to throw a big dart.
What you got?
Let me get Kansas over Kansas State.
What's the line?
11 right now.
Kansas is an 11-point favorite to Kansas. I mean, underdog to Kansas State.
That's what ESPN says.
Yep.
That seems like that you got a puncher's chance of that. Where's that game at? Is it in Manhattan?
Yeah. 62 and a half over under.
By the way, real quick on the scoreboard update, you've got Missouri leading Arkansas 10-7. And Nebraska, Iowa, they are scoreless, which I'm glad to see that because I may have taken the under in that game.
There you go.
That is the one thing I knew about those two teams, is their offenses were not electric. That is the nicest way you can put that.
Real quick shout out to my buddy Eddie watching the shows. Got a gang of crew members watching here locally, so I appreciate that. We're live on our new station, so a lot of people interested in this. It's good to see.
Awesome, man. Well, welcome aboard. Hopefully we'll get them to join us every weekday 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern. You can catch us on YouTube or on WQEE, the Key 99.1 FM. Now tomorrow, Georgia Tech. I think the big thing, if you're a Georgia fan, if you're a Georgia Tech fan, I'd say there's a lot of fans who aren't even going to watch this. We've all been in that boat where you're like, man, I can't watch my team just get throttled by my rival. I can't do it. Now, the diehard Yellow Jacket fans are going to be there, but most of them are probably going to have it kind of like have it on. We go, the first sign of trouble, I'm getting the heck out of here. It's a 35.5 point over under, and 35.5 is the line. Over under is 49. So that tells you that they're expecting like a 42-7.
I mean, I could easily see something like Georgia really not taking this game too seriously. They'll go out there. I mean, like they'll win comfortably, but 35.5 is a lot to cover. I mean, they get sloppy at the end, allow like a few backdoor cover touchdowns, and I can see this being like a 21-point game.
Once again, Georgia Tech is out there. You know, they're spotting dimes, they're eating onions. You don't know what to expect. They beat number 13 North Carolina last week, but they got throttled by Miami. The week before they beat Virginia Tech, they got blown out by Florida State.
I mean, like, isn't 6 wins the benchmark for getting a bowl game?
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, 6 wins and you're bowl eligible.
They beat Pittsburgh on the road.
This makes Georgia Tech bowl eligible. I mean, obviously not winning, but
yeah, that's fair. Hey, speaking of Georgia, Maverick in the YouTube live chat says Georgia has just flipped Anthony Evans from Oklahoma, so that must be some sort of big recruit, I'm guessing.
Wow, yeah. Yes, it is. Wow. I saw the news that FSU just got a 4-star quarterback that they flipped. I still don't get too excited because these guys have not signed yet. They're still 6 weeks away before they sign. So until they sign the dotted line, you're like, good. And they're like, no.
Especially nowadays in college sports, more than ever, you get a lot of
social media, everybody wanting the attention. And
It's
then every
terrible.
one of them has a press conference with 7 hats in front of them. They all do the same thing. They pick up the hat, pick up the other hat, put one on. Oh, no.
It's probably a TikTok phenomenon nowadays to do something like that, called the hat trick or something.
I would love for one time for a recruiter to be sitting in that audience, and the first time that he starts dancing around like that, he just grabs his own hat. He goes, "Nah, man, we're good. We're good.
We're good on you, buddy. Go pick one of the other ones, you schmuck."
Yeah, putts, yeah. But yeah, Anthony Evans is a big time wide receiver. I feel like he is bounced back and forth, but anyways, moving on from that, does Georgia Tech cover the spread 35.5?
I think so.
I think so, only because it could be, even though it is rivalry week, it could be a little bit of a look ahead game for Georgia to the SEC championship. So they might be, knowing that they can play a bad football game and beat a Georgia Tech team that's going to be fired up against them. So I think they cover, actually, not by a lot, but I think they could cover.
I really kind of like the over, because I think Georgia will score at will on Georgia Tech. And the over is 49. I think you could get into the mid to high 50s in this game.
Does it have Georgia Tech's sole point over under on there for just themselves?
Well, like I said, if you
it'd be around 7.
It would be around 42.
Yeah. So
yeah, I'm going Georgia 50, Georgia Tech 0. So I'm taking the over.
42-7 win is what you're projecting if the line's 35 and the over under is 49.
Right.
The bigger game, Ohio State is an 8-point favorite at home against Michigan. I want to take Michigan and I want to let's ride. But last year's game was the first really close one in a while. And I do wonder how good Michigan really is. They haven't really been tested. I do believe that if Michigan loses this game, they are out of the playoffs. Mainly because if you look at Michigan's out-of-conference schedule, it's not good. Colorado State, Hawaii, UConn. And then you look at their conference schedule. Yes, they beat Penn State. But at the time of the game, that is the only ranked opponent they've played.
Mm.
Yeah, and JJ McCarthy.
2 months ago.
Yeah,
that Michigan offense, I don't think they'll be able to keep up with Ohio State. JJ McCarthy has had a decent year, not turning the ball over a lot, but not a lot of big plays. Corum, the running back, was banged up last week against Illinois in what was a close game before this. So I just don't think they'll have the firepower to keep up with Stroud and his 35 touchdowns simply.
See, Ohio State could get in with a close loss possibly, because they do have the win against Notre Dame, which helps her out of conference big time. They also beat Penn State, but it's going to be close. If Michigan goes in and pounds them, they won't get in. They're more likely to get in because of their brand other than anything else. Steven, before we have to let you go here, give me your lock of the week.
Oh man, it is a very interesting slate of football. I mean, like, we had so many good games on Thanksgiving, it just leaves everything else up in the air. I'm gonna screw you over, Dave. Oh, not intentionally. Titans plus 2.5 over Cincinnati. They're at home. The Bengals are getting Jamar Chase back this weekend, but the Tennessee just looks like such a composed team. They've done this year in, year out. These are the games that they win. They take care of business at home. I like
this line stinks, and you always wonder why. Well, we've already seen this a couple times this year where Tennessee has been a underdog when they shouldn't be, and they end up winning the game. And you're like, what? I don't get it. I don't, especially where it looks like Mixon most likely won't play.
He's out officially.
You know how people say don't.
Nice.
You know how people say don't bet against Belichick. I say don't bet against Vrabel these days. I see it a lot being in the AFC South, being a Colts fan. I don't care who Tennessee has out or who's on the field. That team comes to play. They come in there to kick your butt, man up, and play big boy football. I don't bet against Vrabel anymore.
And there is the revenge factor too. All the Titans outlets are downplaying it. The players, the coaches are all downplaying, but there is a revenge factor. The Bengals knocked them out of the playoffs, so I think Tennessee will probably win that game, but I don't know if I would put money on it, because if they play poorly to start the game off and they get behind, they don't respond well usually. Tannehill can win you games, but you've got to have control of the game. You can't go, all right, man, it's 21-3 at the half. Let's go. We're going to open up this offense.
No.
Steven, what is your walk-off for the day?
I mean, I was going to say, I like Titans are one of my big underdog picks for the week. One thing I'm also like, another one I also like is Falcons. They are +4 over against Washington. It's in Washington, but
I think they've got a very good chance of winning that game.
They've been playing very good football. Washington is just very unpredictable. Heineke can get it done, but he can also blow. He can also go 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, and blow the game for you.
Yeah, Atlanta still have a puncher's chance in the NFC South, and Washington. I feel like that's going to be one of the more entertaining games of the weekend.
Yeah, I really like that. So since Sean's not here, no way parlay, Falcons, and what was it, Titans. I don't have odds on it right now, but they're both underdogs that I feel like they have a very good shot to win.
All right, brother. We'll see you next week. We will be back in a flash. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the first of many Braves Country here on WQEE. Keep it locked in here, 99.1 FM. The Dixie Handle Company, 5 generations of the Strickland family have produced quality hardwood farm and garden tools, wooden shutters, and custom furniture. This small business has been owned and operated since 1992 and ships to customers across the world. If you're looking for the highest quality tool handles, Dixie Handle Company is your place. Every item is hand-picked to your specifications. If it's made of wood, they do it. Call now, 931-722-3395. That's 931-722-3395. Or go online to dixiehandle.com. The Dixie Handle Company. Welcome to Craftsmanship, a proud sponsor of Braves Country Baseball.
Whenever I bring home Entenmann's Little Bites muffins. Little Bites? That's right, sweetie. Can you just give Mommy a minute? I love Little Bites. I know you do, but we're doing a commercial right now, okay? Got it. As I was saying, whenever I bring home you know what, you know who gets pretty excited. And so do I. Little Bites muffins are made with real ingredients, no high fructose corn syrup, and are baked moist and delicious. I love Little Bites. There you go. Yes.
Entenmann's Little Bites muffins. The perfect portion of happiness.
Here's good news. There's still a need for hundreds of thousands of cybersecurity professionals in the U.S. right now. And My Computer Career is training people to help meet the demand. No IT experience? No problem. Take the free career evaluation today. Start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Grants covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
You're listening to Braves Country, weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m. on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key.
Now, if you want to crown them, but they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Welcome back here to Braves Country. The Armchair Quarterbacks, Joey and Tones, taking us towards the weekend. Probably the biggest weekend of college football. I know you can make the argument for the for the conference championship games. But this is the weekend that everybody gets involved. Even if your team's not going to the playoffs or whatnot, or didn't make the conference championship game, most of us, I'd say 80-85% of the games are hated rivals. Florida State, Florida kicking off in 3 hours for the first time ever on a Friday. And I think it is a very smart move on their behalf. I think they need to start doing it. I know there's plans to do it pretty regularly. I don't know if it's locked in per se every single year, but Black Friday, there has never been a really big game. I know they did the Iron Bowl once, but you kind of get the stage to yourself tonight. Typically Black Friday, there's junk. It's usually some lower end conference game, not a Power 5 conference, and they try to sell it to you. Oh, let's get excited. And you're just sitting there eating leftovers and snoozing on the couch. But tonight, you got to crack them beers open, baby.
Ooh, let's go.
Time to rock and roll.
I love that rivalry. Florida State. None much better than that.
Yeah, there's some there have been some tales in that rivalry. I know nationally a lot of people probably think Florida State Miami over the years because it was so big in the 90s and meant a lot. But Florida State Florida, there have been some absolute barn burners, and it used to be so fun when you had the Gators and Steve Spurrier, and you had Bobby Bowden and the Seminoles. And of course, both were at the top of the college football world at the time, and both hope to get back to that point. Early on in this rivalry, by the way, if you're not familiar with it, the Florida State Seminoles, it became the first game that was legislated in the books in the United States. It became a state law that Florida State and Florida have to meet on the field. And if the two of them are both playing a sport, they have to meet on the field, because Florida would not play Florida State. Because years ago, they looked at it as, why do we want to play them? If we lose, we don't win. And everyone's gonna say, oh, you lost to Florida State, because long before Bowden got there, it wasn't a very big program. And then if you beat them, you didn't really win anything, because you're supposed to beat them. So Florida was the one that blocked Florida State from entering the Southeastern Conference. There's a lot of hate that goes back and forth on that. Florida State finally got in, and then the beginning of this rivalry is dominated by the Gators. For obvious reasons. They had been playing football for 60 years at that point. Florida State had just started playing. So you look at the beginning of the rivalry, and Florida won, I think it was like 15 of the first 17 games, something like that. There was a tie mixed in, and then the tide turned a little bit in the late 70s when Bowden got there. His second year, he ended up winning 4 in a row. Then the Gators came back and won like 5 or 6 in a row, and then he came back and won 4 in a row. And then when you hit the 90s, Florida State dominated the series. It wasn't until the tail end of his career and Urban Meyer came in that the Gators jumped back on top. And then Urban Meyer, towards the end of his run, and Jimbo coming in, Florida State dominated the series. So right now, Florida has won the last 3. I think I said 4 earlier, but a win tonight would make it 4. They've won the last 3. They did not play in 2020 because of the pandemic and no conference games and all that stuff. So this is the first time that they have played in Tallahassee since 2018. Because they played in Gainesville in 19 and Gainesville in 21. The Tallahassee game was not made up. So that's another reason why it's big.
Mm-hmm.
Florida does lead the series, but in modern era, Florida State leads the series. So that's what's on the table tonight. I stick by my guns. I think Florida State gets a double-digit win. I'm saying 33-17. But in my heart of hearts, I'm kind of thinking 45-17. I think it's going to be a game where they're just going to score and score and score. But turnovers could change a lot of that, and you just never know.
You never know, and that's why these rivalry games are great, as we alluded to. Sometimes the underdog just comes in and upends them, like we see right now. Nebraska's up 10-0 on Iowa, and NC State's up 14-3 on North Carolina. So sometimes it's about the heart, hustle, and muscle. Is our Cornhusker Mike is pretty happy right now. Him and the misses at Nebraska off to a 10-0 start early in Iowa.
Yeah, I've been wanting to keep an eye on that. I'm glad you brought up the Nebraska game, because I'm flipping it over there right now to keep an eye on that.
A lot of interesting games going on right now. Nothing like too great in terms of actual games, but a lot of good ones. Arizona State's up 4 as well in Arizona. So fun stuff right now. Iowa quarterback is out apparently. So, I mean, not that he's played great this year. He's been pretty underwhelming, but I can't imagine their backup is much better if their first stringer was that underwhelming.
Leads Arkansas 17-14. That game has about 9 minutes left. So that is a game where Missouri has to get the W to become bowl eligible. Arkansas is already bowl eligible.
Yeah, and Missouri's played pretty good all year. They lost a couple heartbreakers to Georgia and Auburn, so they could even have a couple more wins than they do, but they've been playing better football than their record indicates, perhaps.
I teased that game in the total of the Nebraska Iowa game, because when there's two teams that are pretty evenly matched like that, with Missouri and Arkansas, if one team is the home team and needs the W to get a bowl game, I've got to lean with that.
Yeah, it's hard to go against that at that point, because the bowl game, as much grief as some people do give the little bowl games, at the end of the day, these kids love it. The universities still benefit from it. It's a big deal. So any chance you have to grasp one, go out and do it, and it motivates them.
The Arkansas Missouri game, the SEC game it'll be interesting next year if Florida State and Florida are playing Friday. Florida would be the home team. Do they put that on as the SEC game of the week? Or so that's another reason why the game was moved, is because it gets overshadowed by the Iron Bowl and Ohio State, Michigan, and whatnot. Other games in the SEC that are going to be going on, we haven't really got into. LSU, Texas A&M. A&M just kind of playing out the line there. LSU is a 10-point favorite. I think LSU will probably win. I still don't think they're the number 5 team in the country.
I'm going for A&M for that reason, because I don't want LSU anywhere near the playoff with the 2 losses.
I've never been a bigger Georgia Bulldog fan than I will be next weekend.
Amen.
I don't think LSU deserves to be in there. There's nothing
not at all.
LSU. I don't dislike LSU by any stretch of the imagination. But if they put them in there, it's going to be an absolute joke.
Correct.
Unless like 37 other things happen at once.
They squeaked by Bama and Arkansas. They lost to Florida State. You know, they lost to Tennessee. They got lucky against Florida. They squeaked by Auburn. Their resume really isn't that good.
Florida State game should not have been as close as it was. FSU fumbled going in that would have put the game away. And I know people are going to say, well, LSU's a better team now. Yeah, well, so is Florida State. Florida State was not playing the level of football on week 1 that they are playing now. So Tennessee, Vanderbilt, someone took them as a stupid underdog. I think there's a very good chance that Vanny gets that upset.
I think so. That's why I took him as stupid underdog. Tennessee, without their quarterback, it takes college programs a little more time to adapt to the backup quarterback. And now life without Hendon Hooker, Tennessee will see what that's about to be like. I like Vandy, not only with the points, but I would throw a little cheddar on that money line as well.
I don't think that there's a chance of Auburn upsetting Alabama. I know Bobby took that for a swing. Alabama's still a pretty darn good football team.
Yeah, and Auburn, they've played a little better of late, but their total body of work and entirety for the season has been underwhelming, not typical Auburn football. So 22 points is a lot. I like Auburn to cover, but I do not like him to win or have any chance of winning that game outright.
Louisville, Kentucky, 3:00 tomorrow, SEC Network. That's one of those ones that's going to be under the radar, but I think that should be a fun game to watch.
Yeah,
Kentucky's a 3-point favorite. Louisville's playing pretty good football.
Yeah, and I'm interested because I always look at these, quarterbacks that could be coming out here, and there's been a lot of talk about Mr. Levitt in Kentucky, but he hasn't been overly impressive to me over the last few games. His TD interception ratio is 17-10. I will not be shocked at all if the number 25 ranked Louisville Cardinals come out and just beat them, not by a lot, but won by a touchdown, because I have not been impressed by the Kentucky offense after watching the last few weeks.
What's your score prediction, Notre Dame, Southern Cal tomorrow, Joey?
Whew, man, this is going to be a really fun game. I'm going to go Notre Dame 28, USC 24.
I've got, after watching that Southern Cal defense last week, I've got Notre Dame 132. No, seriously, I think Notre Dame's going to score on them 34-24.
So you're going to be putting a little cheddar probably with the Irish tomorrow.
I know it's in LA. I get that. Tones, do you see it differently? Do you think Southern Cal gets the W?
No, I don't see it right now. I just don't. Although I do think if they get the W and if they win their conference championship, they're much more deserving than LSU of getting a playoff nod. With that being said, I do think they get stifled by a Notre Dame team tomorrow that's been playing really good under Coach Freeman, and their defense has been letting up scores at will. That's USC's defense, that is. So as great as Caleb Williams and that running attack has been for USC, it doesn't really matter if you're letting up that many points a game. So Notre Dame should attack him as they have been attacking their opponents the past couple weeks. I like Notre Dame winning this one.
The Civil War, as they call it, Oregon State. Ducks are a 3-point favorite. It's in Corvallis, so they are the road team. I know Oregon State's got a pretty good team this year, but I'm really tempted to take the Ducks there, -3. I mean, basically, at that point, I might just grab the money line so I don't get nipped. You look at what Oregon State has done. They've had some pretty impressive wins, but they also got blown out by Utah. That's their one dud of the year. They lost a close one to Southern Cal. They lost a close one to Washington on the road. And I know this is one of the more heated rivalries that probably nobody pays attention to east of the Mississippi. But it's one of my favorite ones. I'm really disappointed that it's being played at such an early time. They normally play this game at night, and a lot of times it's a late kickoff.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that, because you look at the extra late kickoffs tomorrow, and there's, Washington State, but outside of that, no one, because BYU Stanford's in that extra late time slot, and as we talked about already, to us that's not anything too special.
I would I think I would probably go money line on that game, because it makes me a little nervous giving up 3 on the road. If you're going to do it at that point, I'm trying to look up to see what the line is that I'm getting. 3:30 kickoff for Oregon State. Trying to find that line real quick. I'll find it in a second.
I think it's -155 if you take the money line.
To me, that's not bad.
I'm with you.
Yep. Well, no, heck, I'm getting 145 over here.
Oh, hey, even put it in now.
I mean, that's not bad. It really isn't. If I was going to take Oregon State, I'd probably tease it. I'd probably tease it with another game, just because I do think it's going to be a close game. Now, the over-under is 57. That should clear. But the only thing that you get concerned with sometimes on that is if a game starts off slow, a rivalry game where they're familiar with each other. We've talked about this in the past, though. Is you get to halftime and it's 10-10. You're like, oh man, not going. There's a game recently I was watching and you start doing that math. You're like, all right, well, they got to do, and you start doing like unreasonable things need to happen, right?
Grab a cold one at that point.
Yeah, the game's 14-3. What they need to do here in the fourth quarter is they need to score a touchdown, get a pick six, and then onside kick it, and I might be right back in it. It's like, I hate giving up those big spreads, but 57 is not enormous in college football. But the Egg Bowl, the over-under was 59, and it didn't get anywhere close to that.
No, and that one I kind of
and I was pulling for the overtime. It's another reason why I was ticked off at Lane Kiffin.
Lane, man.
I was like, what are you doing to me? Wait, and then waste 2 timeouts. I mean, at that point, I didn't care who won because there was no way it was going to go to overtime. I needed to get to overtime so it can find its way into the over. Once it's a 2-point lead with less than 2 minutes left, like, what's going to happen here? They're going to get a safety somehow? Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you needed a lot of shenanigans at that point, but college
the games that have y'all's eye as far as college or pro lines that you like. I really do like that. And look, I know it's kind of a homer pick, but I like the Falcons and I like the Titans this week.
Yeah, I do agree with you on the Titans. The only other game kind of that is interesting to me a little bit in college football is Clemson is still 10-1. I know they're a long shot to probably make some noise, but at noon on ABC against South Carolina, where they just played really good last week with the quarterback play they had there, I thought you got to keep an eye. That was Spencer Rattler, that is. You still got to keep an eye a little bit on Clemson. A lot would have to happen, but they're not out of the mix fully.
A game that is expecting rain and the Jaguars coming off a bye, the under is really appealing to me. Ravens, Jaguars, 43.5.
Man, what an ugly game the Ravens and Carolina had last week.
Right. And I kind of expect the same kind of thing. And the Jaguars are coming off a bye, so they've had 2 weeks to prepare for the Ravens, get some matchups they like. And the Jaguars at home over the last several years, since I think 2018, I believe, they have the highest percentage at home of hitting the under in the National Football League. Now, some of that was when they had an elite defense, but still, they've had some low-scoring games this year at home. The Houston game comes to mind off the top of my head. I remember that was like 13-10 or what?
Yep, you're correct on that.
13-6. Okay. Yeah. But they tend to play lower scoring games. And I have no rhyme or reason for it because it's usually pretty decent weather at the games, but maybe the humidity gets to the guys. I don't know. Maybe they're sucking one in the fourth quarter and they're just trying to hold on. Maybe the nightlife's a little too rich for their blood on Saturday night.
Like it was for the Cardinals offensive line coach.
There's a fine line between Saturday night and Sunday morning kickoff, right?
I will say one more I'm going to throw out there. It's a late night game tomorrow. Washington State. Washington's -2 on the road. That one's at 10:30 Eastern time on ESPN tomorrow. That's a good rivalry over there. And Washington's quarterback tries to continue to rise his draft stock, Penix Jr. He's currently laboring between a late first to an early third round pick. A rivalry game like this could get some eyes on him if he performs well. Once again, Washington's given 2 on the road tomorrow night at Washington State, 10:30 kickoff time on ESPN. I like Washington to win that one, and I would take it -2.
If they all come out, this is going to be a pretty loaded quarterback class.
Oh, yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
We all thought that with Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. How'd that turn out?
Or the Baker Mayfield one, right? You had Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen.
I need a quarterback. Josh
Allen, Lamar Jackson. I mean, Lamar Jackson was the 32nd pick of the first round.
I'm begging for one over
There's
here.
not many teams that aren't looking for a game-changing type of quarterback, right?
Amen to that.
There are teams that have Josh Allen, and then the teams that are looking for Josh Allen.
You ain't lying, brother. It's tough.
Even a team like Minnesota, who's playing very well and has a very solid quarterback, they would be looking to upgrade if they had a chance to at least groom somebody.
Yeah, Kellen Mond didn't work out too well there. I'm sure they'll draft a later or mid or late round quarterback.
I mean, look at the Jets. The Jets who did draft their guy from BYU, Zach Wilson. I mean, I know you don't give up on him quick, but they could be a year away from needing a QB again. A lot of these teams, it's interesting.
Well, that kid's attitude is just terrible. I think he could have maybe skirted around his poor quarterback play with at least a leadership attitude and a winning attitude because the Jets are winning. But when you take no accountability, none whatsoever, and you play that bad, you're not going to have much leeway as a starting quarterback. I think his post-game comments were terrible last week he pretty much said him and the defense played just as well. And clearly that wasn't the case.
Couple more games before we start to head out of here. We do have something put together for y'all to end the show with that I think there's some. If you're a fan of the Bulldogs radio, Tennessee Volunteer Radio, or Florida State Radio, three of the giants in radio, we put together something. The YouTube feed will have to end because they will get us for music, but we got it set up. Real quick before we jump out of here, give me a game that's not your lock that you're like, man, that was the one I almost took, and I think I'm gonna lay my own cheese on it anyways.
I had two potential locks in mind, so I guess I'll just go with the other. I know we talked about how Jacksonville plays better at home, this and that, but Baltimore only given 3.5 to Jacksonville. If Baltimore wants to be as good as they can be, Lamar Jackson is playing tomorrow. I think that they should be able to handle that spread on the road. I like Baltimore giving the 3.5 to Jacksonville. If I had to pick another one where my eyes light up, college football, Coastal Carolina getting 14 at James Madison.
What about you, Joey?
Yeah, we've talked about it a few times, but I'm not betting against Mike Vrabel. I said it once, I'll say it again. I know the spread seems a little fishy, but Tennessee at home 7-3. They keep grinding past teams. They'll find a way tomorrow, coming off that playoff last year. Like you said, they might not be talking about it, but they know about it. Titans win.
All right, real quick, I'm going to hit you with my lock. Give me the Falcons +4 on the road at Washington. I'm thinking about taking them on the money line. I think the Falcons get back to 6-6. We are about to jump out of here real quick. 10 seconds. What is your walk-off for the day, Joey?
Ohio State, Michigan. Looking forward to it. 2 unbeaten teams. Who's going to crack under pressure in the Big Ten?
Same to you, Tones.
I'm Cleveland bound tomorrow with the Pops. Really looking forward to being at Bucks Cleveland and hopefully seeing a Tom Brady victory to make it 3 in a row.
All right, we're going to jump out of here. We got something put together for you to end the show. We're excited for the WQEE family experience. We're be here weekdays 3 to 5 p.m. Braves Country. Please give us a follow on YouTube, youtube.com @Braves Country.
If you want to know who we are.